The Tortoise and the Hare. Once upon a time, there was a tortoise and a hare. The hare was very proud of his speed, and he liked to show off how fast he could run to everyone in the forest. The tortoise was slow but steady, and she always moved at her own pace. One day, the hare was making fun of the tortoise for being too slow.
Have you ever reached your destination?
He asked mockingly. The tortoise replied, "Actually, I'm faster than you might expect. I will challenge you to a race and prove it."
Is this some kind of joke? You are so funny,
said the hare.
I will lap you several times before you cross the finish line. I have never lost a race,
he bragged.
In fact, I am so confident I challenge anyone here to race against me.
The tortoise said quietly, "I accept your challenge. Let's see if you can back up your words with action. Are you brave enough to race against me and prove your speed? If you are swift and quick on your feet, then winning should be an easy feat. Now, let's race." The hare thought it was hilarious to race against a slow-moving tortoise, and just for the sake of amusement, he agreed to the challenge.
Sure,
replied the hare. Then, let's proceed, announced the tortoise. And the fox will have the final say on who wins. So, a course was set for the next day. All the animals gathered to watch the race begin.
Fast and slow, swift and steady. Which one will win with such glee? Only time will tell, so let's wait and see who will be the winner ultimately.
With the fox serving as the judge, the distance had been marked, and with the wave of the flag, the runners were set in motion and the race started. The fast hare took off in a flash. He darted almost out of sight at once. The tortoise, who moved slowly and steadily, trailed behind the hare as he sprinted ahead. With the intention of humiliating the tortoise and emphasizing how absurd it was for her to even attempt to race against him, the hare lay down beside the course to take a nap and wait for the tortoise to catch up, demonstrating how far behind she was and how hopeless her efforts were in trying to keep up with him.
Why bother racing with me?
The hare taunted the tortoise.
I might as well eat dinner here waiting for you. At your pace, you won't arrive for a couple of days.
The hare leisurely took a nap, but the tortoise was too far behind to hear the hare's taunts. Meanwhile, the tortoise continued on her way, not giving up, despite being far behind the hare. She kept moving towards the finish line without stopping. So, the little tortoise kept on inching down the road, and, at last, the slow walker reached the sleeping hare. He was in such deep sleep that he was unaware of the tortoise passing cautiously and carefully by him. After a while, he woke up from his nap, only to realize that he had overslept, and to find that the determined tortoise was already far ahead of him, nearing the finish line. The sleepy hare quickly started running, but he could not pass the tortoise in time. With her perseverance, the tortoise eventually crossed the finish line first, surprising everyone who was watching the race. The hare was shocked to see that the tortoise had won. He realized that he had been too proud of his speed and had underestimated the determination and perseverance of the tortoise. He understood that the race is not always to the swift.
Slow and steady. Yes, slow and steady is the one who claimed victory.
Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a quiet village by the edge of a deep, mysterious forest, there lived a cheerful little girl with a bright red cloak. It was a gift from her grandmother, made with such love and care that the girl wore it every day. The cloak's brilliant red hood made her easy to spot, so much that everyone fondly called her Little Red Riding Hood. One sunny morning, Little Red's mother filled a basket with freshly baked bread, warm soup, and sweet treats. "Your grandmother is feeling ill," her mother said gently, pressing the basket into her hands with a smile. "Take this to her. It will lift her spirits. But remember," her mother added, her voice growing firm, "stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood nodded with excitement, promising to be careful. With the warm sun above and the enchanting forest path ahead, she skipped off on her journey, blissfully unaware of the unexpected adventure waiting in the woods. Along the way, she saw beautiful wild flowers and thought, "Grandma would love these." She stepped off the path to pick some, forgetting her mother's advice. Just then, a big bad wolf appeared.
"Good day, little girl. Where are you going?"
he asked in a deep, smooth voice. Little Red Riding Hood, not realizing the wolf's trickery, replied, forgetting again her mother's advice. "I'm going to my grandmother's house to bring her food. She's not feeling well." The wolf's eyes gleamed with hunger, but he smiled sweetly.
"How kind of you. And where does your grandmother live exactly?"
"In the little yellow house at the end of the forest." The wolf grinned and quickly came up with a plan.
"Why not pick more flowers? Grandma will be so pleased. Then you can take the shortcut around the trees and reach her faster."
Thrilled, Little Red Riding Hood kept gathering flowers while the wolf hurried ahead to the grandmother's house. The wolf arrived, knocked on the door, and pretending to be Little Red, said,
"It's me, Grandma. I've brought you food and flowers."
Grandmother, weak from her illness, called out, "Come in, dear. I left the door unlocked for you." The wolf burst into the house, grabbed the grandmother, hit her, and quickly put on her nightgown and cap. He jumped into bed, waiting for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. A short while later, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. "Grandma, it's me."
"Come in, my dear,"
the wolf replied in a raspy voice. Little Red entered, but something felt odd. At first, she thought it was just because her grandmother was sick. But then she looked a bit closer and noticed. "Grandma, what big ears you have!"
"All the better to hear you with, my dear."
"And what big eyes you have!" she said, stepping closer.
"All the better to see you with, my dear."
Little Red took another step and exclaimed, "But Grandma, what big hairy hands you have!"
"All the better to catch you with."
The wolf roared, jumping out of bed and lunging toward her. Little Red Riding Hood screamed and tried to escape, but the wolf was quick and strong. He grabbed her tightly and growled maliciously.
"Yum, yum. What a feast I'll have tonight."
Fortunately, just then, a woodsman passing by heard Little Red's cries and burst in. He rushed inside, grabbed the wolf, and freed the little girl. Then, with great effort, he shook the wolf until he confessed where he hid the grandmother. The wolf, terrified, bolted out the door and ran off into the forest, never to be seen again. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother tightly and promised never to stray from the path or talk to strangers again. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood lived happily and carefully, always remembering the lesson learned.